Fall. Adam and Eve wandered into the desolate lands that had been allotted them by the controlling authority. Eve had chosen to walk into this change of plans. It would give her more time to hone her skills of discerning expansive energy and constrictive energy. She and Adam set about working to make a shelter and to find food. How very difficult this was from the ease and beauty of the garden she had designed and called it to being. But this is what she had chosen. Once she felt settled, she'd reached out to her spiritual teacher, and that was when she discovered it. Her channels were blocked. She reached within her backup system, only to realize that it was crippled. Frantically, she surveyed the circuitry systems within the Earth body suit, and one by one found that they had all been shifted, changed, or eliminated. Those who had enslaved the Galactic families had not only discovered her presence, they had blocked their communications. Were she and Adam trapped in this territory, controlled by their enemies? This crippling in the bodysuit did not bode well. Without the guidance, how would they have the means to complete their mission and return home? She had thought she would have time to strengthen and to accomplish her mission. What had she done? How could she have been so wrong? Then another question arose. What about the other volunteers? How would this affect them? It was then that greater sorrow filled her. Chapter 21. Greater capacity to heal. Gerri called Pam at the center. Pam, I'm in real trouble. Pam heard the voice on the other end and didn't have to be told more. Her whole body responded. Where are you, Gerri? I'm at the library. I was studying. A couple of teenage boys came in. Pam, I'm so scared. I'll be right there. Pam dashed off a note for Rory, dropped it on his desk. She grabbed a small blanket, her paper and pencil, and sprinted out the door. Pam walked hurriedly toward the library. She found Gerri huddled on the steps in front of the building. Her back was pressed up against the small retaining wall. Pam sat down by Gerri and took her hand. Gerri, I want you to remember that I have been in pain too, and I know how hopeless it can feel. You're not alone. I'm here for you. They sat quietly, oblivious to the few patrons moving in and out of the building. Do you feel okay about walking over to the park? Pam asked. Yes, I'm okay with that. But oh, Pam, I hurt so badly. Gerri's quiet sobs continued. Your pain is coming up because it's time for it to be heard and cleared. Let's sit under the maples. When you're ready, we will work with your angels. They will heal the wound. I left a note for Rory. He'll hold sacred space, Pam added, and he will get here as soon as he gets to the center. He loves you. He'll hold that protected space. You're not alone. Pam lifted Gerri gently to her feet and kept her arm around Gerri's waist as they walked to the park. The sun was warm. The birds were singing. Soft white clouds floated aimlessly across the sky. People were doing park things. Children were playing games. Mothers playing with babies. Lovers holding hands. But Gerri was not aware of any of this. She drew strength from Pam and gave herself into her friend's care. They found a secluded area under the maples and sat on the grass. Pam held Gerri's hand in her own. Gerri, remember what I told you about my hurts and wounds? Gerri nodded. After the clearings lifted my density, I could see patterns more clearly, and memories began to come back. As injured parts of myself showed up, I discovered thoughts and feelings that were very painful. You are feeling a wounded part of yourself. It's begging to be heard and to be relieved of the hurt. Would you like to tell me what you're feeling? I'm here just to listen. And then Pam sat silently. Gerri's hands clutched tightly under Pam's. She talked and cried. Pam listened. Time was not a factor as Gerri's emotions emptied and filled and emptied again. Then Pam sensed a shift and she asked, "Are you ready to do the next steps?" "Yes, I am," responded Gerri. "Let me spread the blanket for you. I'll guide you through a simple relaxation exercise and then ask questions. You give me whatever answers appears in your mind. It will be like telling a story." Pam called in her spiritual friends and the angels that had appeared for Gerri. At her request, they lifted dense vibrations from the physical location and protected the space for Gerri. Pam sat with her paper and pencil and began. "Gerri, get a sense of how solidly you are supported here on the grass in the energy arms of Mother. You are held in total safety and with great power. For this time, you can tell your physical body simply to relax into the arms of those in the unseen." Pam waited until she sensed a shift in Gerri's energy. There are vibrations around you to nourish and to refresh all parts of your physical body. Your body will be at peace in this field of light. Focus on your breathing. Notice the ease of your breath. Pam continued until she felt a calm moving through Gerri's body. "Now, Gerri, there is a part of yourself that is feeling great pain. I'd like to talk to that pain. When it is ready, words will bubble up in your mind. When that happens, let yourself say, 'I am here.'" Pam sat quietly and watched Gerri's face and breathing. Very soon, "I am here," came from Gerri's lips. It sounded like a young child's voice, scared and full of pain. Tears trickled out of the corners of Gerri's eyes. Step by careful step, Pam led Gerri through the feelings, to the place the pain resided in her body. Then she asked Gerri's higher consciousness to take her back to the time this pain began. Going back as far as was necessary was like floating on a cloud. The story Gerri saw, re-experienced, and related was surprising. She told the story she saw in short, concise sentences. She was young, maybe 16 years old, wearing much worn clothing. She was happy living with her parents. She and her mother did cleaning and cooking type work to help the family survive, but she felt loved. Gerri said, "I sense this is my first time on the planet in a physical bodysuit." She had been sent to the ruler's home to do some work. She didn't like to go because she didn't feel safe there. But on the other hand, she wanted to go because of the ruler's son. He was quite handsome, and she thought he liked her. She felt something good around him, and that made her smile. Wanting to go, and yet reluctant. She looked around and knew that being near his father caused her to be uneasy. Pam moved her gently forward in time until the emotions began to change. Next, Gerri, who hears her name as Shira, sees herself in the large home of the ruler. The son is watching her from a distance. Gerri knows he is there. Once in a while, she looks up, catches his eye, and smiles. Suddenly, her voice changes. Oh no, sobbed Gerri. He does not see him, but his father is coming. I'm scared, so frightened. I can't say anything to warn him. Lighten the fear, Gerri. Breathe it outside of yourself. You don't need to feel the heaviness of it. You can just safely be the storyteller. Gerri's breathing slowed. He's yelling at his son for watching me. I'm his property. He owns everything. He'll show him what it means to be powerful and take whatever one wants. His son is trying to stop him. They're fighting. Oh, the father's knocked his son to the ground. He kicked him over and over again in the stomach. He's coming for me. I can't run. I can't scream. I feel frozen. I'm so afraid. Pam spoke gently and very firmly. Gerri, move ahead. Float safely to what is necessary for you to see. Move forward, surrounded, protected. Your spiritual friends are here. What else is occurring? His son is pulling himself up. He's screaming and crying. He's coming toward me. Now his son is holding me, rocking me. The next words Gerri spoke were dull, emotionless. I've been raped. I feel lifeless. Maybe I'm dead. Tell me what you, as Shira, decided, asked Pam. Gerri slowly answered Pam's question. Men are cruel and cannot be trusted, she began. Pam sat with the quiet while Gerri seemed to think. Then Gerri continued. Somebody owns me. There was another long pause, and then the words came. Tears ran down Gerri's cheeks. I can't be with the one I love. Her sobs were from a soul depth, rolling through her body like the release of slowly flowing lava. Gerri turned her head into the blanket, then she added, life is harsh and not worth living. She lay quietly as her breath slowed. Look around you, Gerri, urged Pam. Your angels were there to help you. She didn't know it. Call them in and invite them to come closer. Pam waited. Oh yes, I see them. Shira, she can see the angels now. They're in beautiful colors of light. Gerri, you as Shira gave yourself messages that set a course for future lifetimes. Those messages have created imprints and anchored patterns. You have been living life from the decisions you made in that lifetime. From this future place under the maples, ask the angels what you, as Shira, was trying to understand from that experience. Gerri lay breathing softly, her eyes closed. They say I was trying to understand that the outsider's crippling and choices from fear had what it had left on our divine families on Earth mission. I was to understand the impact of duality, of balance and imbalance, of power and powerlessness. It was critical to know on this planet what thinking creates in individual lives. I had never experienced the manifested forms, actions and emotions that come from imbalance and entrapments. In that situation, I did. Gerri, ask the angels if it is necessary for Shira and you to continue experience domination and duality and the pain it brings. Again, Gerri was quiet. No. Now we both understand. Using the reality statement technique, Pam helped Gerri create statements for new patterns and outcomes for Shira. After the young 16-year-old was given new understandings and more significant resources, her pain dissolved as if the rape had never happened. Pam continued to work with Gerri until there was an inner shift and a healing completion. Gerri lay and dozed for a short time. Pam kept a close watch over her friend, asked questions of the spiritual healers and angels around them, and declared permission for what they indicated they could do for Gerri. Gerri turned, opened her eyes, and reached for Pam's hand. Then she took a deep breath. Pam, you've talked about how events in this lifetime have their beginning eons ago. I trusted you knew because of information you had received and the experiences you had had. But I didn't fully comprehend how the past fits together in my life. Now I understand. Gerri lay for a time, thinking of what she had been shown. Then she looked into her friend's eyes. Gerri said quietly, Pam, the soul who was the father in that long ago time was the same soul within Dean, the man at the university who raped me. And she continued, her eyes closed to her outside surroundings. Rory was the son. Gerri paused for a moment as if to gather her strength. Tears trickled out the corners of her eyes as she continued. As I slept, I could hear Rory say from far back in time, I will be there to help you awaken. Gerri breathed, and with a voice quivering with emotion, she went on. And finally, after all these lifetimes, that is what he has done. Both women's eyes filled with tears, the azure blue, the deep brown. Dana, as Pam, had shared enough knowledge with Rory and Gerri for her mission of assignment to begin. She smiled as she held Gerri, then very quietly Pam heard Shadow's inner voice. You now know the basics, my little one. Before long, you will be shown the bigger picture. Later, in the quiet of the center, Pam wrote as Shadow spoke to her. The warning voices are all around you, but many of them do not want to know that the seeds of pain are within them, within all of you. Souls in physical bodysuits have been conditioned to live in denial of their pain, discounting their divinity and authority. They have suffered well, planning for some great relief after the death of the body. But in this way, the outsiders control them. But their children will become the message givers. The old wounds, the dominations, usury, and crippling will manifest in the next generations. Will humanity care enough about their children to hear their pain, their children's cry for help, and finally look at their part in transforming the complex imprints? Will they open their eyes to see what is at the core of the violence and greed on this planet? Surprise moved Pam back to herself. What did Shadow mean? There was more to understand? How could the pain, the violence, and chaos get any greater? Mission call. We need you here. Then Pam wrote the words that flowed into her mind. I have a few words to add as Dana, the High Priestess. Remember that first flow of words from your spiritual friends, our dearest one. Those words from the spiritual worlds open the door to allow you to communicate with higher power. It became your source of peace and hope as you walked out of pain and into your life. The words of those spiritual friends have been accurate every step of the way. They have expanded your life. From the beginning, whether there were questions of survival or about the glorious outpourings of love that redirected your life, the words came. When you were discouraged and doubtful, the words came. When you felt confused, the words were there. You have experienced the power of personal communication with Source. No, it is available for all. Spirit speaks to all because all are aspects of good. Love, generosity, compassion, creativity is everywhere present. The power of spiritual connection is a gift to be given to the masses, not to be held back for the few. We are in this life for a purpose, and that bigger picture must be known. Why don't we ask? Why don't we hear? Why do we live in pain? Why do we doubt and fear? Untangling the fabric of your lives takes great courage and commitment. It requires all the skill and support you can bring to the job. Reweaving the threads into new patterns is empowering and challenging. There are many who are being asked to remember their promise to participate in a world of wholeness and peace, and yet humanity has been cut off from the very stories that would give them the solid foundations upon which to stand. I share with you this from the highest place of integrity. Just as the information has come through to you, I now invite you to present it to others. It is part of a spiritual effort to help individuals understand, step out of their costumes of untruth, and move back into oneness, the divinity that we all are. Is it only a game? Maybe all of life is a game. And the question is, what game will save the earth and her inhabitants from further distortion, pain, and spiritual death? I have an invitation for you to share. My dearest, beloved friends, join me. Hold my hand. Stop struggling. Stop hiding your goodness and power under costumes of lack and shame. We are one family. Let's play in the light together and experience our lives from authenticity. It will not be the same until you are there. You are truly divine. You have always been divine. That is what I have always known and what I am here to remind you of. Come, be whole. We need you here. Dana.